Well, good afternoon. Me and Stacey and Lori were back in the studio once again, and back in the saddle, and back with our audience of, Let the Truth Be Told. And so today being a historic day, where it's been September 11th, 2011.
10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary of the 9/11 over at the World Trade Center in New York. And so just so much on the television about that particular event. And so, we're just being thankful and being prayerful for families out there.
Yeah, and our firemen, our policemen, and all our women and men of courage. And I just thank the Lord that we could even be sitting here at the chapel on Market and Bradley and have the freedom of communication and to be able to express ourselves still, and the liberty that we have as a result of how the country has responded to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And I'm just really thankful for our women of service, men and women of service.
It's Stacey, with me, it's a passion with me being my military history and being in the military for 6 years and actually knowing some of the women and men that have served our country and that being said, all the civilian casualties out of it, I think they said 2,993 people. So that's an awful lot of people that died at one particular time and at one event. So just our hearts and our prayers go out to those ones that have lost a loved one through that tragic event. And so Stacey's going to get into a little bit more of what our topic is going to be, but we tip our hats to the 9/11 victims and their families.
Sure. Thank you, Brother Williams, and we couldn't wait to go on this episode because this episode in particular represents not only 9/11 and the freedom and the love that we have for America and how we feel about Americans, and it just kind of broad strokes all of those things that we felt as a result of 9/11, and hopefully everybody can kind of think of, where was I during 9/11, 2001, and what that meant to me and our future, and I'm just really proud of America and Champaignians and in the Central Illinois area, the way we've really kind of rebounded from that. Dovetailing in on that, our topic for today is people, places, and things. And Brother Williams and we confer with each other a lot during the week, and I had to really kind of tell him I love this episode like a fat kid loves cake, and he really always has a ball with that. So we love this so much because it can go so many different directions, and it's such a statement that we use loosely and never really kind of drill down into what it really means to us and what it really means for our community. People, we always like to lay a foundation or a basis for everything we do because, let the truth be told, firstly, we really want it to be informative, and we really want to mean something and have purpose and a direction for what our topics are. So with that being said, I really feel like I need to define and lay out a foundation for people, places, and things. Firstly, people, it can be a particular person, say a Mayor Gerard, or persons as it relates to government or healthcare or education, persons.
Funeral
homeowner, insurance broker.
Your personal friends, family.
Marketing manager, mother, father.
Yeah.
Places, secondly, places, a particular place or a particular spot.
Your home. Our home.
Our funeral home. Yeah. The Whip Barbershop.
Yeah.
But also, places can be either a definite boundary or an indefinite boundary, which is so neat because maybe say the Red Sea or the Mississippi River, it's a place, but it's kind of an indefinite boundary, and I thought that was kind of neat. And then things, and I really feel like things is probably kind of even more complicated because things tend to be an identity, a quality, or an entity that is known, perceived, or thought to have an existence. So I thought that was kind of far out because it's really kind of hard to put a thumb on it. And with Brother Williams growing up around here and knowing everybody and really being into the nostalgia with the radio program and being a multi-business owner, I know he can't just wait to get in on people. He loves people. So let me kick that over to you and let you take off with that.
Well, you know, Stacey, let me go through a thing for a few seconds. Let me go through a thing about people. You know, what Bishop Gwynn always says is people can either add to you, subtract from you, or multiply you or divide you. So people are very important, and you need people. People either like you or they don't. My brother Hub always say, people shop from whom they like.
Yeah.
So if they don't like you, they don't shop with you. And so I thank the Lord for me having favor and God's grace, that in starting my businesses, people have been real receptive. Sure. And so and people have shopped with me and came out, and I've been able to see generations of kids grow up now. Yeah. And now I'm able to see some grandfathers, you know, and things of that nature, and grandmothers. So that you know, with people. But you know, just get more in detail about people, you know. You know, a lot of times, you know, people that's negative in your life, but you can have positive people in your life, you know. And I'm one of the ones that I don't like a lot of negativity. I like a lot of positivity, sure. And you know, and that's what helps you grow. You know, a lot of times, you know, I mean, we're like plants. We talked about a plant earlier. Where is our plants at? Yeah. And I was telling them that the plant, if we had to let somebody take the plant home, because if it didn't get water, it'd die.
Yes, sir.
And so, and people are like, you know, we are like plants. Sure. You know, if you don't get the right nutrients and the right water, then you die. Oxygen. So then you die. So if you don't get the right positivity in your life, then you're kind of dead. Yeah. And you're walking around in really just a gloom and doom spirit, and your self-esteem's down, and your motivation level's down, and you know, and you just kind of don't have that hope. And you know, and so you always got to keep positive people around you and stay positive. But that reminds me of a song, you know, encourage yourself. You know, encourage yourself in the Lord. And that's a nice song that I always like that, you know. But you know, sometimes you got to encourage yourself, and sometimes you got to take yourself out of the equation. And so, and that happened to me, you know, and that happened in my life, you know, and as we start to grow in business, and I start to grow in business.
And in your personal life, your family life.
Well, sometimes you got to cut folks off.
Your church life.
And you know, and that too, you know, sometimes you're spiritually dead. And so you gotta get that revival, you got to get that jolt to put you right back in the saddle. And so, and saying that, you know, I mean, I have great, I thank the Lord for it, because I got a great group of churches that I deal with. And I thank the Lord for the Love Corner of Bishop Gwynn and all his tutelage. I thank the Lord for Bishop Wright. I mean, he found it, you know, he was like the foundation of my religious journey, you know. And so, but I thank the Lord really for Pastor Johnson over at Jericho, you know, because of the fact that
Pastor Lakivi.
Yeah, oh no, I can't leave him out, because I mean, he says the spirituality at the service is just so powerful, and that's what you need, you know. And we go through a rugged every week, you know, week after week after week, and it starts to just run into each other. It starts to beat you down. So on Sundays is a great time for you to go out and fellowship with somebody, go to somebody's church.
Yeah, we call that anointing.
Yeah. And you know, go to somebody's church, get some positive message about a message into your spirit, so it makes you a better person. You start your week off, you know, fresh, you know. And I like to start my week off kind of fresh and positive, on a positive note, that it goes perfect. And it's not gonna all go perfect, but that you at least know how to handle it.
Right, and have a plan, even though that plan may go awry, which it more than likely will. Having a plan is essential, but then too, like you always say, how to bounce back from that plan and make that plan that went wrong go right too.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, steer that ship. But with people also, you know, with us being Champaignians and Urbanians and Muhammad, Seymour for that matter, all down in Springfield, you know, people, our local government, and how proud we are of Mayor Gerard and him as a person, and how he relates to government, and just what his thoughts are, you know, and how he's affected people in Champaign, kind of giving us an injection in the arm, so to speak, a shot in the arm. What's your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's like well, how can I explain it? I think the new mayor, and he's a really great guy. He really gets out and builds relationships with people, and he understands that he needs people to survive, and it is with his political career. And so I think he understands that. I mean, because when he was campaigning, He came over to the barbershop and met everybody, and he's continually, not just that one time for election, but he's continually visiting the barbershop and that type of thing. So I know he understands people, but Dan Finan and Tom Bruno came by the other day before session. Yeah, really and I thought that was great. You know,
it empowered persons within that North End community to really feel like for a change. You know, I didn't see you in the justice system. I didn't see you in the walls of law, man's law, but I saw you at the barbershop, and I thought that. I'm glad you brought that up. I thought. From people to people, persons to persons, that was very impactful.
Oh, it was great. It was great. I mean, it made the guys feel like you care.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times, even in our neighborhoods, we don't really know the neighbors on the block. And we really don't care to know the neighbors on the block. And I think that you should care about your block. Sure. You know, and one of the things I talk to in our little community groups is let's take this community back block by block.
Yeah, that North End Breakfast Club. Wow, what a phenomenon.
Yeah,
I'm really impressed with you guys on that. That was like a tidal wave the way it hit this community.
That was awesome. Well, you know, I mean,
that was people. That's people that, as you say, Bishop Gwen says, multiply. And I thought that was just really a tilting point for the community. That was an awesome case study.
You know, and what Dr. P would always say was, you know, it's been tried and true. Sure. So now it's been tried and true, and we understand that it works. You know, and biblically it says, you know, when 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, then I'm in the midst. So when we get together like that, 2 or 3 of us can make a difference. We can make it happen. We can stop complaining and put 2 or 3 together. And so what that North End Breakfast Club did was got it all together. So, you know, and I would say that even with our religious community, if we all put it together, what a time we'll have with community, and the sky's the limit. And so we won't have to worry about, you know, the division that we've been going through, because we're all working together for the goodness of people and God and nation.
Sure, and we can't leave out as people our parents, and how critical parents, and even whether that's a surrogate parent or an auntie or parents as being people. You know, so often in our business, when we visit nursing homes and assisted living centers and hospitals and hospices, it just seems like with the transient nature of our society today that our parents are kind of being neglected, and how if your parents aren't around, have passed away, God forbid, or you have parents still living, how about adopting a set of parents? You know, that next door neighbor that you grew up by that always had something for you to take home with you as far as something to eat, or if it wasn't something to eat, even a lesson on life. You know, let's talk about parents and how important parents are in society, and grandparents.
You know, Stacey, I love my mom. You know, I love my mom. I love my dad also, but I love my mom because she gave us the blueprint of life. Mm-hmm. She gave us that blueprint, you know, where she did those type of things. We saw those examples. We saw her raise Miss Essie Shepherd, you know, and not really raise her, but you know, mentor. You know, well, she took care of her when she couldn't take care of herself. She went over there and she spent nights. She would say, "Hey, I'm going over to Mrs. Essie's and I'm going to spend a night," and then she would help her with cooking, and she did that for a number of senior people in our community and elderly people in our community. So we saw that example. And you got to lead by example. If you want your kids to follow, you got to lead by an example. So that was a good example from my mom in order for when I got older to go out and be able to help people. And we're helpmates one to another in the community. So I think that reaching out and touching someone else, like you said, you know, and adopting somebody, adopting a neighbor, finding out who that older person is on the block, sure. and then just cuffing them. You know, and making them part of your family, because it just overwhelms me and makes me feel so great to make somebody else smile, sure. to make somebody else happy, to make their day, say a kind word to somebody, to just put a smile on their face, and just, you know, because you never know what people are going through. Yeah. I mean, we all going through a tough place, even me at times, even Stacey at times. I'm sure Miss Lori, you know, and I'm sure you're out there going through a tough moment. But you know, you're damaged, but you're not done. You know, and then when you're feeling better, then you catch somebody else that's damaged, and you tell them you're damaged, but you're not done. You know, that you don't fall and you can't get up. It ain't the problem, it's the solution. Always work on your solution. Put the blessings in the solution. Now, all the stuff that come with it, the ingredients that go with the blessing, come through that trial and tribulation that you're running through. But at the end of the road, the blessing gonna be in the solution. So focus on the solution.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Brother Williams. That was very communicative. Had a lot of clarity. You know, parents though, you know, and I really couldn't leave out parents. You know, I love my parents, and they've been a blessing for me, and I stand on their shoulders. So I don't think we can miss them out of the equation. Or grandparents, if you're blessed to still have your grandparents in your life. But your children, you know, every day is a gift, and you know, like you like to say, you see a lot of people at the Whip Barbershop, and you know, Stacey, I just wish sometimes that instead of a young lady with 2 children sitting in the barbershop, take their kids to the park. You know, let's not forget about our children, and children are truly the future. Can you comment on that?
And that's people, and then a little bit of that is using your time wisely.
Yes.
Using your time wisely. You know, I mean, and it always makes me mad at the barbershop, because I mean, we so much on the business and talk so much economics and this, that, and other, and watch CNN, and we pay attention to current events and things of that nature. But when the guys are talking about, you know, basketball and NBA stars and big time rappers and sex and all this other different type of stuff, you know, you put more emphasis on somebody else than you do yourself.
We call that vicarious, living vicariously through others.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you care more about somebody else's car than working on getting your own.
Right.
You know, and so that always upsets me, because I was just talking to my sister. She cooked a great dinner today, and so when she called me, I went over. But I was just talking to my sister about, you know, when doing some of this community work, you can have so many resources out there, but if people don't want to go accept the resources, then it makes no difference. You know, sometimes we get in such a stalemate and such a constant, everyday, repetitious behavior that we get comfortable in the dumps.
With the mediocrity.
You can be in the dumps and just be cool with it. You know, I mean, you know, and then your kids grow up to see that, and then they start to be cool with it, and they're not thinking of higher above that bar, putting that bar up high, because they haven't seen up high. You know, I remember taking a guy out to my house one day, and he said, man, you got a nice house, man. You know, and it made him want to step his game up.
Sure.
You know, and I mean, and even just getting a new car, you know, make you want to step your game up. When you get your own new car, and you get in there and you get that smell in there, you're like, oh man, wow. You feel proud of yourself.
It feels good.
It feels you make a sense of accomplishment. So you know, and so I know we're gonna close it out on people. But you know, I mean, I love people. I love interacting with people, and you might see me in the store, you might see me on the street, and I'm always speaking. And so when you see me on the street, I'm not a funny acting person. I mean, you know, I'm the same person all the time. So you know, if you see me in the street, stop and hi. If you see me ride by, wave, I will wave.
Sure. You love to wave. I tell you, that's one thing about you, but also too,
got that down south in me.
Sure. But in today's society too. You know, Sean, he's got 4,000 friends on Facebook. We've got a website. We've got a YouTube channel. So don't ever hesitate to send us an email or talk to us or show us your thoughts.
Shoot me a friend request.
People to people online. Yeah. That's very efficient, along with UPTV. That's people. We love them over there. So thank you so much on the people. Now let's hit places. Places, a particular place, indefinite or definite boundary. But let's start with Champaign, because you're such a big enthusiast about the local churches and the nostalgia elements that you embrace. And let's just talk about places. Can you start with church? Let's start with church.
Well, I'll wrap back around to church.
Sure. Okay.
Let's start out with, and I can't talk about anybody else but myself.
Sure.
So I got to start there.
Well, give me a place.
And I give you a place. You know, when I got out of high school and kind of went to Atlanta and I kind of seen what was going on in Atlanta, and I kind of came back to Champaign. I ended up telling the Army recruiter, hey, look, I want to get out of here.
Sure.
At that time, that place, this wasn't the right place.
You wanted to go from Champaign, which is a place, or Urbana, for all you Urbanians, but you wanted to go from one place to another.
I want to go to another. I want to go to another place. At that time in my life, I needed something new. I needed something refreshing for me, you know. And I was used to Champaign, and I encourage a lot of young people, you know, try something different. This ain't the only place, right. You know. And so if you need something else, then try something else. But what I went to Germany. I left here and I went to Germany. I stayed in Germany for 3.5 years in Hanau, West Germany, in Frankfurt. And I've seen Spain, and I've seen England, and I've seen, my first marriage, I got married in Denmark.
Wow.
And so, I mean, just to see those people, and those are great people, getting back on people, but, you know, and it's a great place, I mean, very scenic. And then after leaving there and coming back here and going to North Carolina, another place. And Fort Bragg, North Carolina, being in 7th Special Forces Group, you know, and then leaving that place. And then going out to LA, staying in LA, and then going out to Colorado Springs, which is very beautiful, seeing the mountains. And you're seeing things, and you're growing. That place is changing your whole environment, your environmental thinking, you know. And so I never really, and I always told you, I don't like to grab onto the negativity, so I always grab the positive things that's out there. And just seeing that different scenery just made you feel refreshed and new. But I always miss this place because this is home.
Yeah.
So when
which is a place,
which is a place,
beach, home on beach.
Oh yeah. And so I always love home because of those people in this place. And so when I came back to Champaign, you know, I took everything that I learned in every other place and wrapped it up in here, you know, and wrapped it up into what we got here in Champaign and what we maybe can have in the future. And through me being in business, or me talking to different people to create
inspiring
other people,
go other places and maybe start a business.
Yes. And so I love Champaign, man. I mean, it's a great place. I remember I put on Facebook something because somebody had said something negative about Champaign. And I always get mad when you say something about Champaign. You know, we got to stick together here in Champaign. You know, but it was a person that moved to Atlanta. And so they were saying, oh, I hate coming back to Champaign because, you know, I always see some of my friends I went to school with, they either got fat or they're not doing anything or they're on drugs or they're riding a bike. And I'm like, that's kind of stupid because I was in Atlanta and I seen people missing teeth and I seen people on drugs and I seen people riding bikes.
This place is no different than that place, right?
No different than that place, you know. Matter of fact, this place is better than that place because you got your family here.
Sure.
You know, if you got your family here, you should always want to be around family because that's your base. That's the start of your surroundings and where your help comes from. Now remember, your help comes from the Lord, but at the same time, it comes from family too. So you got to kind of stick with. I like to stick with my family here because I'm able to see my mom. But getting back to that girl because of the fact that I was so upset because she's from Champaign,
right.
And I've lived in Atlanta around some of those people. You know, I mean, you live in check to check, and some of us live check to check. So it's no different. But don't put down Champaign because you in Atlanta, the land of the milk and honey, and then you don't got no money to even enjoy none of the milk or honey down there, or send nothing back to this place.
We go there as tourists and see more of a lot of those magnificent cities than actual folks that reside there. It is quite a shame though in some of these bigger places, say Chicago, some of your bigger markets, you know, people are so stretched out. They just really kind of live in a bubble almost.
We can get anywhere in town in 15 minutes. You go to Atlanta and try that. You go to LA and try that.
We got a rush hour, what, about 7-minute rush hour?
I mean, you know, in construction and the way they're reconstructing a lot of these cities nowadays, you know, I mean, it takes you an hour and a half, you know, to get from here to Carl Hospital, you know, I mean, because of the traffic jam. So, I mean, so back again, I love Champaign in this place, you know, but get back on places, you know. I always say you are what you eat.
Yes.
And you kind of are where you're at, you know, and so, you know, a lot of times we, as individuals, we put ourselves in the wrong place. You know, we go over to a friend's house that maybe mean us no good.
The wrong place at the wrong time.
And you end up being collateral damage. You know, you end up you always running to the fight. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being the one to run away from the fight, you want to run to the fight. You always want to be around problems, you know, the places. You know, and
Sure.
so
Let me dovetail off on that too. You know, we never like to get too far off the path, and you bring up a great point there, and I really feel like we need to drill down on that. Places and how places can affect your behavior and influence you either to do positive things or negative things. So kind of enlighten us about places and how that can modify your behavior, negatively or positively.
you know, I'll bring it right back home to us in the funeral home business. You know, listen to a story from a young man. One of his family members passed away, and they considered coming to us. The family did, but they went somewhere else to another place.
Right.
And they did get the right service that they deserve,
that they love. Another place in their life as well.
And see, you only get one time to do that.
Sure.
And we take a lot of care and thought and everything and love into this process that we're dealing with over here at Williams Memorial Services. So that by going to the wrong place, it affected them for the rest of their lives, and that's that memory that they're going to have of their particular loved one, because of the decision that they made or the choice that they made in taking them to another place.
So help us out then. I mean, we never like to throw open-ended statements out. So how do people find the right place, whether that be in their heart, where they heal, or whether that be in their life, whether that be at their place of employment? What are your safe way methods to find the right place? How do you do that, Brother Williams?
Well, I mean, you always like to talk to people and find out what's their experience. What was their experience when they went? Or seeing it for yourself.
So that's number one, talk to people.
Yeah, talk to
Meet your neighbors.
Build relationships.
Build relationships. Say hi to somebody you don't know.
Yeah, and
shake someone's hand, right?
And you ask somebody, I mean, I was in a store today, and I stopped at a gas station, and I was in the right place at the right time, and I seen a lady, and so they were in there crying, she had a cashier crying, and she was crying, and they kind of knew each other. And the lady was in a tough place in her life. She was in a tough place in her life because she had lost her dad, but she lost her brother. And she lost her brother and her dad like 8 to 10 months apart. And today just made it, and it was this time of the year. I think it was this time of the year, and she was just in a tough place. And so in her life, and so I encouraged her, hey, look, I kind of made her smile, but at the same time, because I told him, I said, one of the biggest lies ever told is that time heals all wounds, and it don't. You just kind of got to pray on it, and you kind of got to move through one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, because even in the tough place that we be in at the loss of a loved one, that just sometimes would never even go away. But at the same time, we have to take it 1 minute at a time. Slow your life down and get it 1 minute at a time, because sometimes we run through our life so fast. I mean, we don't have time for anybody. We don't have time to be to prioritize our own lives.
Even eat as a family. Families don't even eat together anymore. It's just such a shame. We're so busy trying to get place to place, and soccer practice, football practice, basketball practice, singing lessons, music lessons, place to place to place to place, and we don't even find a place in our own mind or our own hearts.
Right. And I mean, and that's very sad, that the hustle and bustle of life has got us into a place where we don't sit back and really value the things that really mean something. And reflect on it,
meditation.
And when you look up, I mean, these years are going by so fast. They shoot by.
We're only getting older, huh, buddy?
Yeah. So I mean, you don't really have the time. You don't really have the time to neglect, maybe say your loved one, or maybe say or
your parents.
Your parents, or trying to grab your education. Get started on your education, or maybe try to look for a better job.
Get out to that place at Parkland College or the U of I, even Illinois State, if that's what you want to do. But a place, get to a higher place.
Get to a higher place.
They call that a higher place of learning.
Yes.
Or even a higher level in your life, your thought process, your needs, wants, and desires, just a higher place. So I'm glad you kind of went over that, because a place doesn't have to be brick and mortar. It's got definite and indefinite boundaries, and in your mind, which is an intangible place, it definitely doesn't have any boundaries. So I think thank you very much for contributing that place that you may not be able to see, touch, or smell. So thank you so much for that.
But you know, Stacey, we know guys, you know, because your mind is a terrible thing to waste. And so we know some guys that in their mind, their place is a jailhouse mentality place.
What you say at the shop maybe last Wednesday, looked like a holding tank in here today. That's a place too that we don't want to be in.
Right. It didn't look, it wasn't the right place. It didn't look right. The environment didn't look right, you know, to me. And so I'm trying to work with my guys on them seeing themselves being bigger, being better, being a more together, you know, place, you know, so that you feel warm when you go in there, you know, and you don't feel out of place. You know, you feel you're right there at the right place at the right time, getting the right information, and then you're being inspiring to other people, and they feel like they've been to the right place. Sure. You know, and we're giving out great haircuts. Yeah, and so that's like here. You know, we want to be you at the right place, and you're getting the right experience. You know, and you can feel like you feel like you've been loved on. You've been cared for.
Grow from the process.
Exactly.
You really did get to a deeper place in your life, and you can go from here to where do I go next?
Oh yeah.
You know, in that place of a journey. So
on your way to a healing.
Sure.
On your way to be healed. You know, on your way to a more serene part of your life. You know, where you can see that prosperity. You know, and that prosperity that we always hear about through all these big mega ministries. You know, I mean, it is possible. Sure. You know, you got to keep hope. You know, but you got to be working on it every day. You got to be working on your place, what your priorities is, what your purpose is. You know, places can be a purpose. You know, and what's your purpose? What position
are you
in?
Why am I here? Why am I at this place?
Exactly.
What are my contributions? Firstly, what can I contribute? But what is my mission? What is my statement? What's my purpose?
You know, Stacey, we started out with 9/11. And the tragedy,
places, New York City,
and the tragedy
before and after. Yeah. What a place!
Yeah, and the tragedy that happened that particular day. But when I thought about the deaths of 2,000, almost 3,000 people, when death happens, it's not for the person that died. It's to affect the people that's living. So whatever place that you were in at that moment, at that time, that's how you're going to starting point of your growth from that.
And how did that make you feel?
Exactly. How did that make you feel? How is that going to make you grow? You know, did you treat your mama right, or did you not treat your mama right?
Did you want to make America a better place so that we can prevent that in the future? A more loving place, a more secure place. You know, as we travel in society, you know, where we are as a place and where we want to be as a place.
Right, right. And you know, and doing community work, I always tell people, you know, it's not a straddle on the fence. You know, you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You know, and a lot of times we want to be both. You know, you can't
straddle the fence.
You can't straddle the fence on that thing. You know, and our radio program this morning, we had a quite interesting conversation.
WEFT 90.1 AM.
Me, Mother Hattie, and Jamar, Pastor DeVita, Brother David Allen. We had such a great conversation toward the end of the program. And we was talking about the place being Unifor Schools. Sure. and how Biden feel. They want some type of reward, or they were at a place, you know, where they were. They're the only school. Yeah, they're the only school and I hate to say it wrong, but they were the only school that did this successful thing. Sure. And so, but I was telling Mother that when your kids aren't getting the right stuff in that particular place, then you got to work with them on your own.
At your home.
At your home, which is another place. And you know, so many times we neglect that opportunity to sit down with our own kids and go over some of the homework with them. Or if, like my sister said, if you don't know, then you get a tutor in. Yeah. And you let it, and at that particular time and place, you know that your kids need help. Sure. But I was explaining to him, I got a young man that come to me and get his hair cut by the name of Eric. What's up, Eric? And and he's a great young man. He's being raised really well, and he's out of his particular race, you know what I'm saying, which is really well, and he's doing really well. I mean, this kid, it could wrap rings around kids that are in public school,
Sure.
and he's getting homeschooled.
Sure.
Mother takes her time out. She deals with him every day. I mean, I got his dad. He's down there at the barbershop, and his son down there right now putting up some lights for us, you know. And thank the Lord for those people, you know, because you know when you reach out and you start being a blessing to other folks, it come back to you.
Sure.
And that's a place.
Sure.
You know, blessings are a higher place in your life. You know, you got to build those blessings up. And so I mean, I don't put too much pressure on, because everything is having cutbacks now.
Sure.
You know, and as things get cut back, and as times get tough, and as life puts its life pressures on teachers, doctors, you know, everybody. I mean, pressures on everybody. You know, funeral home owners. You know, the pressures on everybody. But at the same time, you know, once those pressures are put on, you know, one of the ways to relieve some of that negative pressure, that negative pressure, is maybe change your environment a little bit. You know, maybe take some time out, some me time.
You know, places, you know, your church home, you know, important places where, as you mentioned earlier, you can really, as times get tougher, really kind of begin to mine your own diamond acres and invest in yourself, and make sure you get through this rather tough period in our history.
Oh yeah, and you know, I mean, places are very important to me, and where I go, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you know, I grew up with my brother Joe. Big shouts out to my brother Joe Williams. You know, he's always mentored me and been my big brother, and he treat yourself special, you know. And saying that and him drilling that down on me, you know, you won't see me everywhere, you know, at some of these wrong places at the wrong time, because I let the God in me tell me, hey, it's time to roll, you know, or the place, the environment is not looking conducive to what I'm on. So I know how to leave, you know. And sometimes we stay in a place too long, you know. Sometimes we maybe stay in a marriage too long. We stay in a friendship too long, you know, just in the wrong place.
Or a job.
Or a job, you know, and scared to take that faith step out on a higher position, or going to school, or intimidation. You know, you're intimidating yourself, you know, about going and trying to step out on that faith walk, that godly walk, to try to do something different, or changing just changing your environment.
And then, speaking of places too, you know, the reality of the workforce now is that you're probably going to change places of employment 4 or 5 times in your lifetime. So, you know, let's get used to, you know, making good decisions about places and how they can really impact more than where we may just be at that moment in our life.
You know, Stacey, I mean, a lot of times, and I big shouts out to my brother A-Dub, and my brother A-Dub, he had talked to me one day, and he said, man, you know, and I think we were in the barbershop together, and I think he told me, he said, man, you know, I just tip my hat to you, you know, because you'll start one business, and if it didn't go right, you'll try something different, and I guess I've always had a faith walk, you know. I'll just throw it in the Lord's hand. That's all you can do, you know. Put your work in, and then throw it in the Lord's hand. Don't worry about too much about money and all these other things. Oh, I don't have enough money. But if you work on your business plan, you know, your plan and your talent skills, and there's people out there with money that can put that with that, you know. But if you just never, if you always neglect to try to step out on that faith walk, you'll never know what you could have been.
Sure.
You know, you could have been
place you could have elevated to.
Man, you could have been Donald Trump, or you could have been, you could have been, one of these big
Peter Fox.
Yeah, you could be. Oh yeah, one of those guys.
Who's that guy that owns that Jimmy John's? Everybody around here knows him. What's his name? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know, Lauren?
Johnny.
Johnny. You could be Johnny.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Or Jimmy.
Jimmy. Well, you could be Jimmy.
But we get your point on that.
You know, I mean, you
go to a higher place.
You go to a higher place
in your life.
You know, by trying, because there's so many people out there that have great ideas,
sure, great
dreams, great aspirations, you know, but never take the chance out. You know, I mean, it's like Michael Jordan. You know, it's like being Michael Jordan, but never getting to the game.
Sure.
You know, you never being Michael Jordan, but you ain't tried out for the team.
Right.
You know,
you didn't get off the sideline.
You know, so you won't make it, you know, and so you can't be Michael Jordan because you don't want to go out and do what Michael Jordan did to be Michael Jordan, you know. And a lot of times people look at you and they be like, man, I like that and I like this this and I like what you're doing, and man, or they look at you and disgust because of the failures they had in their lives and the place that the Lord had you in your life. And people rough out there because they make you feel bad about your success.
Sure.
And that's just people. And that's because they're in a place in their life where they're frustrated, they're disgusted, and hurt people. But you got to keep your skin thick.
Okay.
And so, with a place in your life is not to get upset. Don't be in that place to get upset.
Don't get mad, get better.
Because, if we really want to say we're biblical and this, that, and the other, then we'll go by what the word says. The vengeance is the Lord's. So you don't get upset with people. You try to make them better. And I've gave multiple opportunities to people that probably was negative to me. But one of them days they'll jump on board and they'll be like, oh, Sean, I really appreciate you for still sticking that right hand of fellowship out to me, even when I didn't deserve it. And that's what life is about, and that's where that blessing comes from, to put you in another place in your life.
Sure. With that being said, Brother Williams, and thank you for that. That was brilliant, I might add. Let's talk about things, and again, things are imaginary somewhat until we either identify and give those things an identity, a quality, or an entity that's known, thought, or perceived to have an existence. So to me, that kind of, by definition, means things aren't anything until we attach a value to them. And I know you just got a new thing. You just got a brand new thing and a beautiful car. But that car wouldn't be beautiful unless people attached a value to that car and how that car looks and how it's thought, to have a value. And let's talk about things, whether you can see them or not.
Well, I've always wanted to have some nice things, and everybody's not me. You know what I'm saying? Some people, they don't want to have. Some people like the smaller things and the other qualities of life, and there's nothing wrong with that. The simple things of life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've always wanted to have nice, and so because it's encouraging not only to me to work harder, but the people around me that seen my walk, seen me from when I didn't have nothing, seen when God smashed on me when I was standing. I grew up with some guys that talk about you, and I grew up and when I got out and I got champagne, I was trying to grow and go to school. I was staying in a 1-bedroom, and one of my friends, big shouts out to P.D. Shaw, and that encouraged me, and with that encouraging moment. But he cracked a joke around a whole bunch of other friends and said, man, your crib he said, your home's so small and your apartment's so small, I could tell when you at home because your feet hanging out the window. And it was a crowd pleaser, that joke was. But, and it didn't hurt my feelings. And what it did, it made me work up out that smaller home. And to work on something else and to just keep on elevating. So by getting that thing,
that thing called a joke that was kind of almost humiliated you and made you laugh at the same time, that little nugget of a thing really inspired you to change your life and change your existence.
Oh, it made me work hard. It made me work harder. I haven't been at the University of Illinois or Harvard, or, you know what I'm saying? So that's encouraging to all you young people right there, because you can get that thing and those things, and you don't really have to do all that. You got to change some of the things and some of the distractions that's around you.
And that we artificially place a value on, or just importance, whether that be mentally or intelligence-wise. Things, sometimes can be a distraction.
Oh yeah, distraction, and a lot of, and that's what it is. A lot of times, it's the distractions. We don't want to shape some of those things, some of those vices in our life.
Shape the haters.
You want to take, you got to be able to take the bitter with the sweet, but at the same time, you gotta try to pick up more sweet than bitter. And so you gotta shake some of the vices. Shake some of the Lil Wayne off. Shake some of the
glittery things, $400,000 in your grill and all those things, those glittery things, those Maybachs and those Rolls Royces, those glittery things that materially rust, perish, and get destroyed or stolen.
But at the same time, a lot of our young people, they don't know the right things to pick up in their lives to be able to get the things that they see and they want. And then get back to people, that got those things, you know, you're trying to follow their blueprint.
In those wrong places.
In the wrong places.
At those wrong times.
You know, instead of you follow their blueprint of life, when a lot of times those particular people and they didn't have those particular things that helped them get to where they are. Sure. You know, I mean, they're so what we got to do now is do what you got to do in you. Let the God in you tell you about where your people, places, and things are going to exist.
Sure. And to dovetail on that too, you know, talking about things, seems like the older folks, as we talk to a lot of the more just well endowed and just, you know, well established folks in the community, some of the more important things are the things that are intangible and that you can't see, touch, or smell, or steal, or envy, avarice, idolatry. It's like some of those things that you can't see are even more valuable than, say, this beautiful vase here or our teak wood furniture here in the set. It's like, is your mind as a thing, your mentality as a thing, what's more valuable, that or a Lexus truck?
You know,
what's more valuable?
You know, the things that would be more valuable to me would be personally just a momentarily experience that I deal with people. That's to me. That's
that power, that relationship, positive energy, that surge.
Yeah, and that's what's very important to me is relationships.
Government can't tax that, can they?
No, that's something.
Can't even tax that thing.
Yeah, you can't.
Not yet.
Yeah, you can't. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and I talked this morning on the radio about how I always like to, when I come in the room, you know, I always want to try to light it up.
Sure.
You know, you want to be able to be somebody that light it up when you come in the room. You know, make everybody else, you know, make the whole house happy.
Right.
You know, I mean, and that's a spirit that will bounce off on other people.
It's contagious.
Man, what you talking about? The whole house be smiling. If Dad, you come in smiling, you try smiling a little bit. Man, you next thing you know, everybody in the house smiling. Mom, you smile a little bit. Next thing you know,
that's why we're here to make you
smile.
We really firstly want to do that and inform.
You know,
let the truth be told.
And make you feel better, you know. And so when we still talking about things and we look at things, you know, I mean, there's so many things out there, so many distractions out there. You always got to keep in mind the devil out here to kill, steal, and destroy. So we always gonna put a whole lot of things out there, and he gonna package it the way you like it.
I always love it when you say that. That just I don't know who that couldn't touch. I mean, we're all human. We're all of the flesh. So, you know, it's lust, greed, all of those things.
So if it's a bottle of Hennessy that you like, or if it's going to Gorman's out there and catching every sale,
Mac makeup,
you know,
Chanel, Coach.
So
those are things.
You know, and what we start to do is we start to pick those up, and you know, and they just become, you know, bad habits.
Sure.
You know, those things become bad habits and become repetitious, and sometimes it's not for the good.
Right.
You know, and it might throw our checking account off, or savings account off, and we're trying to go buy things, and we're trying to buy love in all the wrong places.
Sure.
You know, and people do that too.
And they say money can't buy you love. What's your thoughts on that? Can money buy you love?
It sure can make you feel good while you're going through something.
But can it buy you love?
No, it can't.
Or temporary love?
It won't buy you temporary love. It can buy you some fake love. It can buy you somebody that's gonna be fake and phony to you. You know, that's only around.
When money runs out,
that's only around while the money's there, and they get out while the getting's good. You know, the tough get to going. You know, you know, but you know, yeah, and money's a thing. And I think a lot of times we chase our tail trying to get it. You know. And I mean, you know, I thank the Lord for some of the adventures that I've been on, you know, whether it been barbershop, or whether if it was the restaurant business, or whether if it was, you know, here at the funeral home, or whether it's even insurance. I mean, we've been out on the hustle and bustle selling insurance.
Yeah. And
I've been.
We can get you insured. If you've been declined or postponed, we can get you.
Yeah, and so, I mean, and I like those particular things that keep me busy. And the Bible say that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So if you're not applying yourself, then you're going to pick up some type of things within that 24-hour period that's not going to be conducive to your success.
That you may not be able to shake.
Yeah, and sometimes the wrong things you can't shake.
Yeah, you know, and dovetailing off on things too. I'm glad that you mentioned the insurance, because as we often told the audience, you know, it's our goal to get out there door to door throughout the whole community and knock on those doors in those particular places and neighborhoods and introduce anyone who doesn't have an introduction or an education about the thing of insurance. And insurance is such a tough thing because you can't see, touch, or smell it again. It's an intangible thing, but it's also a faith thing, and something that is one of the more popular ways for folks and legacies and generations to pass and transfer wealth. So let's talk about insurance and the importance of that as a thing. Although that insurance may represent an insurance contract or a rider or policy, as we call it, it's way bigger than just that thing of one piece of paper. What does that mean as a thing for families?
You know, Stacey,
especially when they come here, you know, to Williams
exactly.
Memorial.
Being in the funeral home business, it's a sad thing when you come over here and you just really do not have any insurance, and for
which is something that we want to introduce and encourage everybody and give everybody the accessibility that has been postponed or declined to get.
And educate you on how affordable it is. You know what I mean? And so, and neglecting, taking that right policy out,
sure,
you know, so that you can pick out the right products.
The
right products. I mean, not just putting something together.
Right.
You know, because, you know, a lot of times we're just trying to put something together because we didn't take the necessary proper preparations to prevent a poor performance.
Right.
You know,
I've heard that one before.
So, you know, by picking your insurance policy, or by talking to me or Stacey or any other,
which is a thing that oftentimes we've seen over here. God forbid, people want to ignore as a thing until it's too late.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
Or wait till you're too old and it's so skyrocket high. You know, I mean, you know, and I just talked to some young men about some insurance.
And we're not going to bore you with insurance,
yeah,
but that is something as a thing that you can't see, but it is essential and necessary.
It's something that's important. And I didn't even know the importance of insurance, you know, and even car insurance, you know. I mean, being here in Champaign, the state of Illinois, you got to have car insurance.
Liability at a minimum.
You got to have liability insurance. And if you don't have it, it's a penalty.
You should get hit and run.
You know, it's a penalties behind that. And over there in the courthouse, they slap you, I think, almost $1,000 fine for not having insurance. Well, it's not the same as far as when we talk about life insurance, or we talk about homeowners insurance. You know,
you can't get that back.
You just can't get it back. And I mean, you know, and it's been such you know, it saddens me. It saddens me when we have a family that we're dealing with that maybe didn't make that proper preparation, and so then we have to go around and we have to, you know, put that thing together, you know. But it's been a blessing. I mean, the Lord, you know, Lord works in mysterious ways.
Right.
And
but
so, but it's a lot more helpful.
That thing, though, we really
it's a lot more helpful.
That
it's a lot more helpful
because we are very much ailing in Champaign-Urbana about that.
7 out of 10 people ain't got insurance.
Yeah, we just really want to let the folks out there know that if you see and wave at Sean, ask him about that thing that we never talk about and we can't see, touch, or smell that is so important for your loved ones and as a way to ensure your legacy and what you stood for in life. Because us being in this business, we feel blessed and highly favored, and our whole job and thrust and focus is to memorialize you the way you stood for in life. And that thing of insurance is so very vital and important.
It's one of the major tools. It's one of the major tools to help your family heal, to help your family go through that loss much more easier than it would be if you don't have it.
And what's the alternative to that, Brother Williams? If you don't have that thing of insurance, what is the alternative to that?
I mean, if you don't have it, then people are outraged and people are getting upset with each other, and she knows she had it, and he know he got it, and he could give more money.
They got money, but they don't want to spend it.
They don't want to spend it, and then you got people that's maybe being selfish a little bit and saying, well, look, I'm not going to spend all my money I didn't saved up, and this person they squandered all their money.
But ultimately, do we really know what any family member has in their bank account or any family member's financial situation?
We don't.
So because of not having that thing, I think there's a lot of conjectures and a lot of things that unfairly happen that shouldn't happen.
Exactly. And it just helps us. It just helps the whole process a lot.
The healing and the grieving
yeah.
process.
I love it when we have families that come through and that they have that thing of insurance in place, because they're much more happy,
more harmonious.
You know, when they come in, and you can put your proper perspective on the focus of the loved one and the loss and the legacy
and what
how we're going to memorialize them.
What their legacy is, how the grandchildren will think about their life and the direction and the people and the places and things that they want to attain,
exactly,
that they want to achieve.
Exactly, and just take that family tree up that notch of life.
Get that oil painting above your fireplace. You know, get that name on that endowment at the University of Illinois or Parkland or Sangamon State, or I guess it's U of I at Springfield now. Take that step. Think outside yourself, and you will be rewarded eternally. Is that right, Brother Williams?
Oh yes, and one of the things about it is it's one of the fastest ways to build wealth. You know, I mean, you can put your money into a bank account, but you can put it into an insurance policy also,
sure.
And you know, and build it up much more at a higher interest rate. So I mean, I just really thank the Lord for this program.
Got it out, Brother Williams. I know we're informative.
I thank the Lord for the audience. Thank the Lord for the program. Thank the Lord for you, Lord, you, Stacey. Everybody that helps us out.
YouTube, WilliamsMemorialServices.com, SeanWilliams.com, WEFT.com, SnotRocketScience.com if you need web development services or technology consultation. Miss Lori Cooper, thank you. September 11, 2011. God bless America.
Amen.